I left it now.
Hello? Hello?
Come and see the thing is off now.
The thing is off now. It's on. It's on now. It's on now.
Adi. Check what I.
Hello?
It's on.
It's on. Hello? It's okay now.
I will put the mic to the this thing. Okay,
Hello? Wait first.
Check your this.
Let me plug this.
Plug it in.
Let me plug this. Okay.
Is the one talking?
Yes. Huh? Yeah, we don't get audio now. So we can start.
So check if it's talking. If it's charging on me.
It's not. If it's charging, see it here.
Check the other person.
It's not charging. It should be charging now. Wait first. You know what? Let me off it first. Okay, it's charging. Leave it. Don't get where you go. Wait.
Can we position the thing at least on distance from?
So I want to admit him now. I want to bring him in now. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Hello? 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 Hello?
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning. Good morning,
morning,
Mr. Norton.
He's online now.
Hello? Hello, good morning.
Good morning,
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Good morning, John. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, good morning. Hello?
Good morning. I'm Russell Norton.
Sir? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Good morning. I'm Russell Norton. Can you hear me?
We can see him. Once you set it before I'm freezing. Before I'm freezing. Okay. I think I want to freeze him now. So yes. To the center page. Allah, everything shut down. The system starts. Oh shit, that's the problem. Yeah, but almost on it. But oh. I don't know that my system will work for them. No, that one I don't process now. Okay, but maybe the system can just come on. I don't say we don't try. President, don't follow me back too much. I've got your system, yes. My system. Yes, my system is always with me. But we asked for it. There's no question. That was why I said it should be. No. If you are discussing, I know system will not get that. Nobody else system get. Nobody else system get them. Your own system no get them. Yeah. And your own system won't use it, but your own system no get them. I for time yesterday now. You don't get. Okay, there's something. This you don't get VGA. Now HDMI I get. Once this thing come up, we'll start relating. Okay.
I think it's just the audio now.
No, the audio is everything is working. Everything don't balance. Now just everything just come up.
Okay, I'm charging the laptop.
Yes. As a day like this, I know that's how the table and me I know just touching. Any small touch like this. That's how I know they work with them. They don't go do work like this. Now waiting they make us the third of we need at least system. No way this
we get system like
he said nothing, he said nothing.
No, tension.
Yeah, sorry.
With the setting of this year code, we have to adjust the projector.
The projector need to be adjusted. Even the brightness. Everything. Okay. The man is still online. But now here, this Zoom I need to use connect.
Okay.
So that the projector. No, we are coming up, sir.
Is it connecting?
The system reboot start. So
it's still online. Eh?
Yeah, he's online. And the man is very patient, sir.
Try.
Not on the Zoom. Not today. Now, why the system they do like this? Not today. Not today.
You not get that.
You get. Not today.
Press on, just press on.
Maybe you can start to do this one gets me.
Zoom, yes.
You get me?
Yes.
You get Zoom.
I'm a millennial guy because I'm a lecturer. I'll look more like that.
If you get Zoom,
I get Zoom.
let me find this time.
Now let have volume this thing. See this volume this thing here. The first one.
The plug for this one.
No worries. I guess what else do you need? DJ, virtual DJ.
No. Spiritual DJ.
I get virtual DJ, madam. No, the system not off. No worry.
You don't connect. Okay. That is another thing. Maybe you want to connect to UNIBEN-CLAN.
UNIBEN Wi-Fi. Yeah.
That one they fast. They fast.
No, auditorium. No, so
Auditorium.
here be headquarters. Why not put that for us to know?
So we also increase in drop.
Why not the show for them?
Never put no signal. They never put finish.
There's not the show signal for that.
No, well, that one has much.
Oh, you need to switch input.
No, yeah. I think don't log in already. You have to make it log up. You are logged in already.
No, no. They're not show for them. We'll change that for band.
No.
No, this.
Now settings there.
Yeah.
Now settings for this place. No, settings. Control panel.
No connect.
No. Check that one. Check the back.
No come on.
Twice.
And to go back to your system. That's not to go back to your system.
Now, the reason one person likes you.
To go back to your system.
The phone is not use that.
No,
You never use that connect before.
no. Is there any this thing we can download to enable it work?
Except the port get.
Not the response.
Let's try it.
Come and see what's going on here.
You restart them, you shut them. No, I'm not off on that. Only close. You know they sleep. You close them. They sleep.
You come on.
This man get patient.
Two.
Wait first.
That's the problem there. You gotta put up in the middle.
When this woman complained, they showed me. I should try watching the thing on YouTube. Wait first. You touch anything for that side? No. What? It's from here.
What has problem? Yeah.
Yes.
Like this one, number 150.
I don't know how they do arrange things for you.
Okay, I'm not ready for it.
I know you are now. Now Lagos now.
How much is it? How much is it?
Here for Lagos. Feels like 3K.
Never that for the system.
No, just correct this one.
See, those examples. Okay, now.
So are you presenting today?
Oh, good move. Still intensification. Those are the three words.
So the man just calm down. This man now in boat. The man now in boat. Says Nigeria, but don't go to don't para like. See now.
There is also where it says it's done like with the diploma education. Because there's not two form now, not degree.
See. Alphabet. I don't go.
It's system. Someone has education. What of twa? Meaning what travel? That adverb of degree. What travel? This thing and adverb of degree. See what I have then and if the phone will consider because now the idiom first now I'll use it first now education. So everyone can distinguish between getting back out of
Good morning, sir.
Morning. Are we ready to go?
Hello, good morning.
Okay. I'm preparing to share my screen. It's not going through at the moment. And then we can start. I'm still trying to share my screen. Can you enable screen sharing, please? Screen sharing is still disabled. Can you enable it, please? No one is really telling me what to do.
Tell him to start.
We have changed the network. So the man is already on standby. How come I will also have that?
Enable participant screen sharing. I have a PowerPoint to share. It will not allow me to share screen until you enable participant screen sharing, please, the host. Still waiting for screen sharing, please. Yes. It still says that the host has disabled participant screen sharing. I'm waiting to share my PowerPoint. Can you please enable participant screen sharing? Who is the host, please? It still says host disabled participant screen sharing. Who is the host, please? Can you enable it? Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm still waiting for this to be enabled by the host, which is participant screen sharing. I see myself on screen. It says I'm going live, but I'm waiting for participant screen sharing to be enabled by the host. I have a PowerPoint to share. It's not going up yet because I need the host to enable that. So I gather we have an audience at the moment. So while we're waiting for the host to enable that, I can introduce myself. Good morning, everyone. My name is Russell Norton. I'm a linguistics consultant with SIL. I'm also head of Department of Linguistics and Bible Translation at TCNN, the Theological College of Northern Nigeria. Okay, thank you. To the host, you've still disabled participant screen sharing. I think you've shared your own screen. Can you please enable participant screen sharing so that I can share my screen? Okay, as we're waiting, I would like to say I'm very grateful to the organizers for this opportunity to speak to you today as a representative of SIL in Nigeria. SIL engages in a wide variety of activities with language communities in Nigeria, including language surveys, linguistic research, building capacity for mother tongue literacy, and so on. And my title today, which I'm still waiting for to go up on screen, is Linguistics as Human Science, Community Research and Development within the National Language Ecology of Nigeria. Okay, I'm still waiting to share my screen. I see the host screen on the on the platform here. Can you enable participant screen sharing, please, the host? It's still saying host disabled participant screen sharing. Still waiting for the host, please, to enable participant screen sharing. Still says that you have disabled it. For the host, you can enable the participant screen sharing. At the moment on the screen is the host's computer, not mine. It still says host disabled participant screen sharing.
You are taking power, you are taking bread. How?
It's only part today.
Okay, thank you. Do you see the screen now? Okay. Okay, then we can start moving. Okay, good morning, everyone. So this is my my screen. Okay. Yes, I'm grateful to the organizers for this opportunity to speak to you today as a representative of SL in Nigeria. SIL Nigeria engages in a wide variety of activities with language communities here, including language surveys, linguistics research, building capacity for mother tongue literacy, and so on. My name is Russell Norton. I'm a linguistics consultant with SIL, and it is good to speak to you today. My title is here, Linguistics as Human Science, Community Research and Development within the National Ecology of Nigeria. I'm going to present to you today an overview, which is a kind of personal synthesis of how I see linguistics as working with people as a human study, and working with people in human communities. And this sets that out at various levels. So I'm going to proceed with the presentation now. An overview of the keywords first from my title. First, human science. When we undertake research on language, we are researching humans. So we have language as a distinguishing feature of humans. Human language is, of course, well known to be more complex than animal communication systems. Now, among humans, there are a few who lack language abilities, but on the level of communities, we see that all human communities use languages. No field researcher has ever found a silent human tribe that do not use language. Every human community does, and this is a global anthropological finding about humanity. The community nature of languages involves a further point about linguistics as human science, which is the distinct perception of insiders in a human language community, which is the etic-emic distinction of the late Kenneth Pike of SIL, who developed this for sound systems in 1947, the distinction between phonetics and phonemics, and in subsequent works right up until shortly before his death. So we have an etic view in which language categories are observed from the outside, like a phonetic system for understanding the speech of all humans. And we have an emic view with language categories experienced by insiders of a community, like their own phonemic system of sounds for their own particular language. The third point about human science has to do with our reason and purpose for doing research as humans with other humans. Linguistics research connects a researcher to a language community. And I would say research is done as a service to the community who speak the language. This has risen to the fore in recent years under the heading of research ethics, that people who are being researched deserve to benefit from that research. And in fact, service to communities is also a long-standing value of those of us in SIL. SIL is a Christian faith-based organization, and as a people of faith, we serve language communities out of imitation of Christ, because Christ said, "I am among you as one who serves." And so we seek to imitate that. Linguistics as human science and language as a feature of human communities leads on very clearly to the second keyword of community research. To do good human community research, we will be interested in methodologies suited to human communities. This includes participatory research, in which members of the community become our co-researchers. They contribute to the findings and they have an interest in the findings. And our research is development oriented because human communities have goals, including goals for what they want to do with their language, to develop their language. This is the context in which linguistic research is done. The third keyword is language ecology. Each language is like a species made up of speakers who use the language, and this species thrives or declines in the ecological conditions of its environment. Two things we can immediately say about language ecology in Nigeria. Nigerian languages correlate with lifestyle and geography. They can be mapped. And languages of farmers can be mapped in very limited areas within the country of Nigeria because they're associated with farming that piece of land by that community. Languages spoken by herders are much more widely spoken because of the migration patterns of herders are much wider. And so that takes a different form of map where languages of herders are much wider. Here in Jos, I'm in a Berom speaking area, but if I travel outside the Berom speaking area, I will not find many people to speak to in Berom. And this shows that geography is important in the use of Berom, and the same is true of other languages of Nigeria. A second basic point about language ecology in Nigeria is that most Nigerians are multilinguals who use languages according to context. And this is a constant part of the way that languages are available and used in this country. This is another part of the ecological setting in which Nigerian languages exist and are used today. That's my overview of keywords. Next, I would like to introduce a distinction between linguistic diversity on 3 levels that I have found relevant in discussions on linguistic research in relation to language development. Number 1, a single language level. Number 2, a language cluster level. And number 3, the reference level. So at single language level, we have some level of language diversity between different dialects within the language. And so to study a language, there needs to be assessment of language, of dialect, of the variation within it, what counts as a dialect of a language, where the borders are of a language in terms of the different lects that are spoken. Also at the single language level is where we do language description and orthography development of the written form of the language. And then also literacy and literature development of literacy in the mother tongue and availability of new literature in the mother tongue. All these things go on at the single language level. I also want to introduce the language cluster level, which would be a group of neighboring language communities more similar to each other than to any other languages. These have been traditionally called groups in historical linguistics, but the term cluster is also increasingly used both in a language development context and also I think is useful in a language research context as well, to describe neighboring languages that are closer to each other than any other language. And the value of this in linguistics, in linguistic research and description, not just development, but in research and description, is that similar work can be done in all languages of the cluster. Very similar properties are going to be found, a lot of similarities in the sounds and the grammar and so on. And this is worthy of our note because there are clusters like this all over sub-Saharan Africa. It is a feature of the area that we are in, the way languages are distributed. They're distributed very often in clusters. And then we have the reference level. And at the reference level, we find languages classified into language families, which are languages that share a common ancestry. We find language types, in which languages are classified by the presence of certain common features. These days, we also have language vitality ratings, how successful languages are in oral transmission and written transmission of the language to future generations. In the Ethnologue, published by SIL as a record of all the world's languages, information is given about each language on its language family, but also these days on its language vitality. Also at the reference level, we can speak of language ecology and the niches of usage that each language has. These all provide ways of classifying languages that inform a nationwide perspective on research and development. And I'm going to develop some of the last few points about reference level in the next slide. So I want to introduce in the next slide now the scale of language vitality, the EGID scale that is used to classify all languages in the Ethnologue. And so we have a scale from 0 to 10 with languages rated according to their vitality. 0 international for languages that are recognized by governments across borders. Level 1 for national languages, level 2 for regional languages, level 3 for other languages of wider communication, level 4 for languages that are in the education system, level 5 for languages that may not be in education, but they are written, and level 6A for vigorous languages, languages that are spoken every day orally, even if they're not written. Well, we then go to levels that are more serious for the vitality of the language after vigorous. We have 6A retreating, which is a level at which the language is spoken, but some children are not learning it. Then more seriously at 7, we have shifting languages where no children know the language. It's only known and used by adults. At level 8A, we have moribund languages. These are languages where there is no one of childbearing age, no one capable of being a parent who still knows the language, who could pass it on to their children. At this stage, only grandparents know a language, and a language in this state is labeled as moribund. 8B, nearly extinct. Some languages are in this position if they have only a few elderly speakers who are even isolated from each other and don't speak the language much. Then at 9, we have dormant languages where there are no fluent speakers left, and you only have a community whose identity includes the history that they used to speak a language together, that they no more speak. And then level 10, extinct. So in the lower numbers in the scale, transmission of the language to future generations is very secure if you have a national language, say. As we go up to higher numbers in the scale, transmission is disrupted more and more up to the level of extinction. Now, in principle, all languages are classifiable on this scale, and any language may move up or down one step at a time, providing a proposal for a complete theory of language vitality. All languages start off at the vigorous level, 6A, in the middle, where they are actively used oral languages passed on orally to children. This is the stable pattern of many languages. Some languages develop from there into written languages at level 5, or into the education system at 4, or other institutional uses in level 0 to 4. But if a language moves to the higher levels, and if it is shifting because no children know the language, it moves into a state of being doomed and heading almost certainly towards extinction at level 10. Well, that's the scale that we use in the ethnologue to classify languages. And here is a bar graph of the number of Nigerian languages at each level as they are currently rated in the ethnologue. So what do we see here? Let's look at the highest bar, which is for 6A in the middle. About 300 languages in Nigeria are rated at 6A, vigorous oral languages spoken around the country. On the left side of 6A, nearly 100 languages are at level 5. These are languages which are also written. And that number has been going up in recent generations and is set to climb further. But relatively few languages are in levels 1 to 4 with institutional status in government or media or schools. Likewise, when we look to the right of the tallest bar at 6A, we have 6B. Nearly 100 languages are at 6B because some children are not learning the language. Beyond that, quite a small number of languages are doomed at level 7 or more. So most Nigerian languages are fairly stable at 5 or 6A or 6B. Most Nigerian languages are not doomed to extinction, and the possibility remains that they could gain more vitality as written languages at level 5 or educational languages written at level 4. That is the picture that we have. And I want to go from there into introducing another factor which can tell us something about why so many languages are still vigorous in Nigeria. And I want to introduce the concept of economic lifestyle categories. People and communities live different lifestyles of hunter-gathering, farming, herding, and modern life. And we can use these 4 lifestyle categories and apply them as a variable in Nigerian language ecology and classify different languages according to the lifestyle each language is used with. So if we do that, there are no hunter-gatherer languages in Nigeria today. It is thought that hunter-gathering was practiced here in the past, long times ago, but most likely hunter-gatherers have shifted into farming. Farming languages, there are over 500. Nearly all of the languages that are listed in Nigeria are for farming communities that live on and farm in some area of land around the country. Over 500 of those, whereas if we look at herding languages, we find 3, which are all varieties of full day. In addition to Nigerian full day, there is also Adamawa full day, which has a different heritage, and also Benin full day coming over the border in the west. Much smaller number of herding languages reflecting different kind of lifestyle, different patterns of movement, different history. And then we have modern languages, and we can talk about 3 or perhaps at least 3. The most prominent ones that are used in modern life today would be Hausa and English and Pidgin. Perhaps there are others too that have some role in modern life. Let's say that there are at least 3. And if we can classify languages of Nigeria in this way, then there is a correlation between language and lifestyle. And we can test how strong that correlation is by formulating hypotheses about language shift based on lifestyle shift. Okay, so for example, hypothesis of this kind. Number 1, if you shift your lifestyle category, you will shift your language. If you're a farmer and you move to the city and become a banker, the language you need is going to be different. You are moving from one lifestyle into another, and you find that in your new lifestyle, different language is used, and you may want to teach your children that same language as well, so they can continue in modern life. This happens in other cases as well. If people from farming communities send their boys to work with herds, and some do that, they find that those boys come back and they don't know very much of their community's farming language because they've started to learn the herding language. That's also, if you shift your lifestyle category, you will shift your language. But this, when we take this from individual level to community level, it's much harder to see a whole community changing its lifestyle. So number 1, if you shift your lifestyle category, you will shift your language. We can see examples of that. But with communities, we see more stability. We don't see farming communities moving over entirely to herding communities, and we don't see herding communities moving entirely over to modern life, and so on. So number 2, if a community maintains its current lifestyle, the hypothesis is it will also maintain its language. That language is associated with the culture and the life of farming or herding, and there's no reason to think that farming or herding communities will shift to modern languages if they're maintaining their lifestyle. And so number 3, globally over Nigeria, if Nigeria continues to have this present mix of lifestyles, then Nigeria's language diversity will also continue. We're going to continue to see vigorous languages of all kinds. We're not going to see a vast turning to modern languages. And that has research implications. And so research implications on this next slide about linguistics at reference level. Farming and herding languages are all likely to continue being spoken as long as those lifestyles continue. And this highlights the need to continue researching farming and herding languages, not only modern languages. To research all these languages raises the question of the motives for our research. Some of us are researching to test theories. We have a vast field of languages in this country on which theories can be tested. In practice, many theorists, not only in this country, but around the world, tend to focus on a very small number of languages. They tend to be modern languages like English, and they tend to be studied because there is so much vast material about them that has already been documented. but there remains a wide number of very different languages from different language families. And we could ask how different theory would look if we were building our theories on farming and herding languages. Another motive for research has been endangerment, that we are encouraged to research languages before they disappear. And as we've seen in the bar chart, this applies to some languages in Nigeria, but it is not a motive for research that will motivate us to document all the languages of Nigeria, because many of them are very vigorous. So a third motive for research might be development. And this is a very strong theme of this particular presentation, that we research languages in order to give communities the opportunity to develop them. And more particularly, we might research them for what Lewis and Simons call knowledge management, that each language contains knowledge. That knowledge is there to be researched, and it's up to each community what it wants to do with the knowledge that it has, which is expressed through the different languages that are used in the community. And that's a question for our research. What is the knowledge encoded in farming, herding, and modern languages? The kind of knowledge that is encoded in those languages, whether it will be related to the lifestyle, it will be related to what needs to be known to practice modern life, what needs to be known in order to practice herding or farming. And that affects the dictionaries that we create. It affects the kind of texts that we're likely to elicit in these languages. And so it will shape what the research looks like in terms of the examples of words and sentences that we encounter in these languages. That's all about linguistics at reference level. I want to progress from there into linguistics at cluster level. Although there is a nice transition here that language clusters are generally created by farmers, as we will see. And so this is highly relevant to the farming languages that are across this country. So clusters of immediately related languages, they have a geographical connection, the communities are adjacent. They have a social linguistic connection. There is partial intelligibility and ethnic affinity, which people feel about the neighboring communities next to them because they can see that they speak a similar language. And then there is the linguistic connection itself, the shared features and similarities that we can find as we research those languages. These are very common in the linguistic geography of Nigeria. Language clusters are typical in Chadic, Benue Congo, Ijoid, and Adamawa language families. And they're typically created by farmers in the last 2,000 years, as farmers have dispersed beyond the mother settlement into several adjacent farming communities. The languages of those adjacent farming communities gradually become a bit different from one another, and you have a cluster. And this encourages some particular ways of responding in terms of research, particularly the comparative historical method. And so we've had linguists in the past write and study about clusters. One would be Armstrong writing on the Edomoid family, a cluster of immediately related languages. And this is valuable in terms of phonology, because when we compare phonology, we identify sound correspondences in different lexemes of the language. We can do this on word lists. We find sound correspondences, and these imply different alphabet needs in related languages. So there is a development value as well in this kind of linguistic research, and also in grammar. And in grammar, we can do simultaneous documentation of similar languages. We can find similarities in their grammar. Once you've studied one language, you can find similar things in the next language. Well, you can do it one by one language and then the next language, and you find it similar. But you can actually do this simultaneously. And if you do it simultaneously, you tend to find the same kinds of things in the grammar at the same time. And that tends to support your findings, that you're finding things that are true about these languages because they turn up again in a closely related language. Let's see that in some practical ways. It can be by holding a workshop between members of a cluster. This is me leading a workshop. We were going through parts of speech in a cluster and a different part of speech every day. But in the room, we had a different table for a different language. So they could all fill out worksheets and look for similar sorts of things in their languages. And they would find things that were very similar. The words would be pronounced differently, but the grammatical structures were very often the same. And so that's why it's good to do it simultaneously, to confirm the same findings. And somebody's finding one thing on one table, and it encourages people on another table to find something similar in their language. In a workshop like this, we can then keyboard the findings so that participants have something to take away. We can, once it's keyboarded, it can be put into a booklet and printed at the end. And we did this in about 14 days, going through the grammar of a language. And I said as well earlier that there's often an ethnic affinity between people in closely related languages. And that ethnic affinity can be encouraged. It's good for people learning to develop their languages together and pass good ideas around and exchange phone numbers. And these guys are having a good time together at their cluster workshop. At the end of a cluster workshop, and this can be done in about 12 or 14 days, that you can produce a booklet about the language. These booklets are in the Duya language and the Wachi and the Ashe and the Nyangpa, which are immediately related languages of the Plateau family in Kaduna State. And just in the time that we could have made one booklet about one of the languages, by doing it simultaneously, we've actually got 4 booklets done in 14 days. This is what can be done. Now, this also helps the linguistic research itself. So this was in the Dawn language cluster of the Plateau family of Benue Congo. And this is the sort of thing that that we found as we were researching the languages. I'm going to take an example verb, first of all. So the verb come, and the root is ba. The root is identical across all languages of the cluster here, Duya, Ashe, Wachi, and Nyangpa. And then verbs have inflections. So we have a perfective inflection, he came, which is aba in all the languages. And then we have he has just come, which is a category that they all had, an immediate perfect aspect of something that has just happened. That all the languages could express that, and they could all express a future, he will come. Sometimes the forms are the same, sometimes they're not quite the same, but there's a similar paradigm in each language. And so the same paradigm can be checked in 4 languages, not just one. Now, this was also even more useful in the research into these languages when we looked into words like strong. Strong in English is encoded as an adjective, but in many Benue Congo languages, it's not easy to find a category adjective. And in fact, what we find in this Dawn language cluster is that properties like strong are encoded as verbs and not adjectives. And we see this because they have the same sorts of verbal inflections as other more familiar verbs like come do. So we have a way to say he is strong, a perfective way of describing the state of being strong. And all 4 languages can do that. The forms are a little bit different, but you can see that they're quite related. Aker, acher, achira, achoro. He is strong. But we also have immediate perfect forms in these languages. He was just strong. And future forms, he will be strong. And you can see that they use the exact same inflections in each language. The Duya inflections are the same as the Duya inflections for the verb come. The Ashe inflections, she and ne, are the same as those that are used for the verb come, and so on. And so this also is a finding about not just one language, Duya, but the exact same finding is there in all 4 languages. And it was discovered on the same day and confirmed on the same day across them all, that they all do verbal inflections for properties like strong. That's an example of studying grammar right across the cluster and exploiting the similarities that are there. Here's an example of phonology in a cluster. And for this, we've got the Gen language cluster. of the Adamawa family, and looking at implosives. Now, the Za language of the Gen language cluster has a b-p contrast, but no implosive b. And Za was the first language to be written in this cluster, and so the implosive letter was not needed in the Za alphabet. But then we look at comparison of sounds across the languages through sound correspondences. And so here's a correspondence table for a few words of the language: ask and rope and egg and stab and nail. And there are 10 language varieties here. The last one on the right is Za. And on Za, you have words that begin with b or p. We've even got a minimal pair that we've got b at the top, which means ask, and p at the bottom, which is the verb nail, but no implosive. But actually both ask and rope, when we look across all the 10 languages, in all the others, those words are with an implosive. And the implosive is reduced to an ordinary voiced plosive, b, only in Za at the end. So there's a loss of the implosive in Za. The next words, egg and stab, all the other languages, they have a voiced plosive, b, which becomes devoiced to p, only in Za at the end. Those are regular changes in Za, and they come out as sound correspondences, which show the loss of the b in Za. In every other language, you have an implosive b, and you also, in words like ask and rope, and you have an ordinary voiced plosive in words like egg and stab. And that means that the implosive letter needs to be represented in the other Gen languages. And that's an assessment that we could make by looking at the sound correspondences across a cluster. So to summarize about clusters, they're common in Nigeria. They're ideal for comparative study. Letters needed for orthographies can be assessed from sound correspondences, and simultaneous documentation reinforces findings and speeds up work on Nigeria's languages, especially the farming languages, of which there are so many. Well, that's linguistics at cluster level, and I just want to finish with some observations at single language level. Now, in SIL, we had the late Kenneth Pike, who developed phonemic analysis for analyzing the phonology of individual languages and developing a way to write them based on their phonemes. So this is based on the idea of analyzing emic units of the language from etic data, for example, analyzing phoneme units from phonetic data. And the emic units found by linguistic analysis are expected to correspond to the knowledge of language users. Now, this way of analyzing a language has been used for many languages around the world. It's been a useful field technique, but it is couched in terms of structuralist linguistic theory that preceded the new theoretical developments that we have now with generative linguistics that has proved to be popular, followed by universities all around the world. And so this technique, which is potentially very useful in the field, risks being sidelined because it looks theoretically anachronistic. But let's improve our perspective on this, because there are some enduring developments that continue to support this idea of looking for the emic units that are in a language and that are distinctive to one particular language community. So more recent developments for the etic-emic distinction. One would be in phonology itself, in lexical phonology, developed by Mohana in 1985. From this, we learn that phoneme awareness applies to word forms at the lexical level prior to post-lexical phonological rules that apply across words. And this is a technical solution that rehabilitates the awareness of phonemes that has always been observed in the field, that rehabilitates it within developments in generative phonology, particularly the lexical approach that distinguishes lexical rules from post-lexical rules that apply across words. that we can recognize that it's the output of the lexical level where phoneme awareness applies. But there are other developments. Participatory research, as pioneered by Kuchler-Jencher, and a reference from me on that as well. In participatory research, the emic perceptions that people have of the categories of their own language, the phonemes of their own language, are incorporated into the linguistic research process itself, and not just equated with outcomes of linguistic analysis. And this is a great way to do linguistics as human science with real human communities, to actually work with members of the community as co-researchers who bring their emic perspectives to the research. And I will show you more of this in a minute. The other development that I want to mention is the idea of the etic-emic distinction as an interdisciplinary concept for community development. That the emic perspective of the community can be relevant not just in linguistics, but in all sorts of community issues, where it's important to do the following. It's important to be recognizing emic perceptions in the community, not just etic perceptions constructed by outsiders about the community. This is relevant to community development. I think it's also relevant to things like conflict resolution and peacemaking, that we need more understanding between communities, which comes by recognizing that each community has its own perspective, which will be necessary to acknowledge to move forward in peacemaking. Well, I want to focus most on seeing how participatory research moves forward recognition of the emic perspective in linguistics itself. And I'm going to do this through the language of Alago, an Idumoid language in which I was asked to assist as a SIL linguistics consultant. In Alago, by around 2016, they had 7 vowel letters agreed, which is the inventory seen below, with subdots available for the letters E and O. But they only had 5 letters in use, which were the 5 basic letters of Roman alphabets. And it means that they weren't using the subdotted letters. And so we have a puzzle here. Does Alago have a 7 vowel system, or does it have a 5 vowel phonemic system? And this bears on whether the subdots should be used or not. And so what has happened to Alago vowels? There are 2 possibilities. A, does Alago have a 7 vowel system? If it does, then the subdotted vowels would be needed for accuracy. But the people in the community are not using them. Why not? Are the subdotted letters difficult for writers to use? And we know about this in languages like Yoruba by Fagboran 1989. Are writers imitating Hausa or English, which have 5 vowel letters? If it's a 7 vowel system, why aren't people using the 6th and 7th vowels? But there's another possibility. Does Alago actually have a 5 vowel system? Does it only have 5 phonemes? If so, then subdotted vowel letters would be unusable. They would be surplus to the actual phonemic categories of the language that speakers are able to know. And if this happened, then the subdotted letters have been added for no reason. So this raises these kind of questions. Is the alphabet of Alago, is it misguided by the vowels of Idoma and Igede, other Idumoid languages, and Igbo and Yoruba, other West Benue Congo languages that are using the subdots? Have they been inappropriately added to Alago because other languages are using them? Or is the Alago alphabet misguided by the cardinal vowels E, E, and U, O, defined by the phonetician Daniel Jones? And so this is an etic system. In fact, all of this is pointing out the concern that etic systems from outside of the community can be inappropriately imposed on our understanding of Alago to mislead us into thinking that it has 3 front vowels and 3 back vowels, when maybe it doesn't. So we need a clear answer to the question of whether Alago has a 5 vowel system or a 7 vowel system. And I I approached that by participatory research. I worked together with these guys who were literacy managers for the Alago language and Bible translators for the Alago languages. And we got all the words down on the table and we put them into piles and listened to them so that we could figure out how many vowels there really are in words of the language. So there's a methodological difference here between individual linguistic research in the style of Pike 1947 and the way he taught his students in SIL and they taught their students, compared to participatory linguistic research, which has come to be used more recently. So in individual linguistic research, a linguist makes phonetic transcriptions of the language. A linguist listens to a speaker saying the words aloud to confirm sound contrasts, but this is by the ethic judgment of the linguist. And the linguist does his analysis and proposes an alphabet and tests it with community members. But participatory research has another way of covering the same ground. So this is it. Participants write words alphabetically on slips of paper. A participant reads the words aloud to confirm sound contrast by the emic judgment of the participants. And a linguist guides the research to confirm the phonemic system across CV shapes. So I'll just show the slides where we've got this. We looked at CV verbs. We got words into 5 piles, immediately showing that there are probably 5 vowels in this language. In CV verbs that are a bit longer, we have to take the first vowel and the second vowel and put them into a table. And so this table fills up with classifications where the first vowel can be classified into 5 different vowels, and the last vowel can be classified into 5 different vowels as well. We also do that with VCV nouns, which also demonstrate 5 vowels, not 7. Longer nouns, the same. There's no need to recognize 7 vowels. It all fits into a scheme of 5 vowels. Pronouns, the same. No great dependence on a large number of vowels to distinguish vowels in the pronoun system. If anything, tone is more important for vowel prefixes, which form the subject pronouns at the beginning of verbs. And so 5 vowel phonemes were confirmed in Alago by participatory research. So some recommendations out of that. When determining phoneme systems as a basis for a successful orthography, 1, the phoneme systems of related languages, Yoruba, Igbo, Idoma, Igede, may not be a good guide. Number 2, phoneme systems are plausible when there are plenty of minimal pairs and questionable when there are not. The first thing that caught my attention in Alago was that there was no great list of minimal pairs for these 7 vowels. That's likely to mean it's a wrong analysis. So number 3, the phonemes of a language can be confirmed by a group of participants from the language community creating separate piles of words for emically distinct vowels, consonants, or tones. And number 4, the participants should be recognizable decision makers in the community for the language, because then our research is integrated with development. We work in linguistics with language resource persons, but who are those language resource persons? Are they just people who are competent in the language? Are they useful? Are they helpful? Or are they people who are actually responsible for developing the language? Let's make our language resource persons people who are responsible for developing the language. And so overall, what I've shown you today, I've shown you something about 3 levels. First, the reference level. Farming and herding languages of Nigeria continue to be spoken alongside modern languages, highlighting the need to research them. At the cluster level, clusters of similar languages, which are common in Nigeria, benefit from simultaneous documentation and comparison. Single language level, participatory linguistic research can converge on a convincing analysis while directly supporting language development in the community. And 4, I just want to mention that the insight from linguistics about the distinct emic perceptions of each community has wider interdisciplinary potential, including achieving greater inter-community understanding in Nigeria. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Na. So if anyone has any question from anybody here? This side. Ah, okay. It's not here. Are you hearing me now?
I hear you.
Okay. Okay. So, Prof.
Thank you very much, sir, for this paper. The question, well, not a question, but more of.
Let's go. Okay.
I know you live in the Plateau area, and Plateau State is an industry of languages. I would like you to tell us a little bit more, apart from Alago, whether there are other communities who are keen in the kind of projects you run at the SIL and their level of involvement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shall I take one question now?
Okay, one more question. Any more questions? Okay, you can respond to that question now.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly in the Plateau area, yeah, the language map shows a vast number of languages here. There are some of them in SIL projects, and they include the ones that I've mentioned on the slide. So, so for example, the Dawn cluster, those languages are managed by SIL, and there are a few others. But what we have in JOS is a variety of different organizations who may be involved in managing projects, not just SIL. So there is always a diversity here, and as a consultant, I am not just called upon to work with SIL projects, but in fact, Alago, we were asked by the Nigeria Bible Translation Trust to come and look into that one. And there are various other organizations, ITDAL, the Word for the World, who are involved with particular languages. So there is a range. And so all the time, there are communities who meet together and agree that they want to get in touch with one of our organizations to start some kind of project. I'm not a project manager myself, but as a consultant, I get to see a range of languages. But can I also mention that I'm also a trainer, and we have at the college where I teach, we have been training over 60 languages over the past years since this department was started in 2006. So that is where I see the most interest personally in the students who come to train from a variety of languages. But even with those students, we always say to them, do you know the language committee in your community? Do they know you're coming to study? And we send them out on field work. So we have a vast amount that's being done, not just in Plateau State, but reaching out to other states from here. I know there's also work at government level, which I'm also not involved in, where some of the states around here are forming structures to recognize languages and develop them further.
Thank you very much. So do we still have any question from the floor? No question from this side.
Did I not say anything?
So no, apparently we don't have any question again. So we thank you very much for the session, and it has been a very fruitful session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, okay, Dr. Nelson,
Yes.
please, we will need your presentation. Kindly send it to the email of the president, of the land president. Thank you.
I will do. Thank you.
Yeah.
Eh? Call that meeting code for me. You can hear me enter it. This system, I don't want to make it shake. Oh. Let me enter the meeting code. Cancel this one. No. Okay. Cancel that one. Enter the meeting code. Let me go and collect that. That code there with you. Ah, oh, for no drop on with them now. Maybe I say prof this one. Like the last week. We want to get the first system we use. Coming. Àwọn prof too. Àwọn àlè ló ìgbà ilé kan gbé lọ sí ọ̀gbọ́n.
Hello, prof. Ó ní àmọ́ pé a lè lo speaker àti prof yà wá lẹ́ẹ̀kan ṣùgbọ́n àwọn yóò make provision a dẹ̀ ti set up báyìí. Okay, bó lẹ́wà báyìí sá. Okay. Ṣé ká wá kó? Okay. Inú bùtù ẹ̀rọ ló wà. Okay.
Let's.
Hello? Who is this one talking?
This person talking. Just his video. I didn't activate your video for them to be seen.
I want them to see me. Activate it. It means is that I have to concentrate. That's okay.
So for now, the host, which is this person now, he hasn't started because his mic is cancelled. His mic is cancelled and the video is cancelled. Let me. Sorry.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Please, we are sorry for delaying. We'll start any moment from now.
It's okay.
Okay. I will send a document I will share a document right now which contains the list of people who are supposed to present visually. So we'll be following that list. Can we all hear me?
You said you share a document, right?
I said I will share a document right now.
Okay.
Which contain the list of everybody's name.
Okay.
We'll check for your name so you know the time. We are going to do the presentation serially. So you say I can know when you are going to present.
Okay.
Okay. Can others hear me?
Please, will the document be shared via the email?
On the screen here.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay. I can't.
Yeah. I've responded before. I think he wants to share a document. Let me just.
I can't really see. Next floor. They are PG. They are PG. They are PG class. Yes, people are online right now, but you can't start without the panel. I'm trying to get people. I might end up being only me. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Let's we are coming. Oh, where's my? Oh, something my WhatsApp.
They are saying.
I need to share document with them. No, the panel was supposed to be here.
Tomorrow they will be doing tomorrow.
We are
wasting this time.
We are cool. Nothing tomorrow.
Nothing tomorrow. They are wasting this time tomorrow. I don't think I'll be late to this time.
Hello? Anybody there? Good afternoon. That document don't see.
I wish I logged me out of the meeting.
Yeah, accept. Hello? No, I'm not sure. Hello? What is not showing? I know. Hello. Sir? For every call toast. You should.
It's busy now. Okay, what I should go to
Call toast is presidents, all of them want to come down here.
I just spoke with the president now. He's not coming now. When I couldn't get him, I just called the president now. He said that he gets all kinds of people. No?
All kinds of.
He said that he makes undergraduates and all that.
Hello? 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 Is this thing not working?
I was wrong.
I beg, let me check this thing. Hello? Eh? It's on. It's on. Hello? Hmm? Hello? You can hear me now? So why is this one not? Hello? 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 Huh? Oh, my God. Hello? Hello? Yes. Hello, if you can hear us. Yes, I shared the document now. Let me open it. Hello? Anybody there? I'm not the one that opened this one. This is not my own. Yes, someone open. I shared the screen. Hello? Eh? This doesn't have any partial contract. Hello? 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 Let me check. I sent the document now. I need document. If I'm wondering where the person that opened that one. That one is so I share the screen with the person. So anybody present, they can share their presentation. Background, yeah. I will not show background. Okay. Hello? Oh, yeah, open that document. I'm missing it. Hello? Hello? Don't open it. Hello? 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 Okay. Okay, we are good to go. Hello? Hello? Can anybody hear me, please? I shared the document. I needed to open the document. Okay, my screen. Okay. You have Sulaiman Mohammed here. Hello?
Hello, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay. I need everybody to unmute.
Okay.
Everything along this road, but there's rich farm. There's rich farm. Which farm is here? Except the book club. The only club that Shokem is there.
I want Ibrahim Mohammed.
That's mine.
Any of this thing you have to tell them that they're private.
I want to make the
Ibrahim Mohammed.
A document.
Can Ibrahim Mohammed hear me?
Is it the code? Let me send it to you. Yes, this link. 5-1.
Hello.
Ibrahim Mohammed, who's your line?
No, it's not Ibrahim Mohammed. This is Dr. Alani, please. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Is Ibrahim Mohammed here?
I'm sorry, I'm having network problem.
The first person to
Let me
present
send
is
you
Ibrahim
the link
Mohammed.
for this.
Ibrahim Mohammed, I can't.
I sent
Hello?
a list not
join
quite
this
long.
meeting?
I need everybody to open that list, go through the list. We are presenting according to how our name appears on the list. The number one on the list is Ibrahim Mohammed.
Excuse me, please. Where did you send the list? Is it via our email or via the other platform? Hello. Hello.
Hello, who is online, please?
Please, where did you send the list? We want to check the list. Where did you send it?
Send it to everyone through the chat.
It's not there.
Through this chat? It's not there. We haven't seen any list.
Yeah. Okay, let me send it again.
Okay, send it again. We are waiting. It will list down the guy. Yeah.
Please, I just send the list again.
Okay, let us check. Let us check.
I didn't see the list. It's not list here.
The list is not here yet, please. The list is not here, please.
I'm working on it, please.
Okay, so we are waiting. Hello, Mr. Chairman. Hello, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of two of us. Hello, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'm meeting in the yeah, me too. Yes. Yeah.
Who
Hello,
is
are you
ready?
there?
Who is ready?
Dr. Allami is ready, please.
Dr. Wu?
Dr. Allami Balagon Maja and Yusuf Salis Sani.
Okay. That means I need you to on your video.
Okay.
Dr. Wu?
Dr. Allami Balagon Maja.
Hello?
Okay. Okay, you are ready to present, Abi? So we are going to start right now. Well, now it's going to do. So, let's start, sir. Eh? I've already accepted you, sir.
Yeah, already accepted.
Can you share your presentation, Doctor?
Yes.
Panel are ready to listen to you.
Can you see it?
Componential analysis of meaning.
Hello? Yes, of course.
As an implement of English Hausa lexical translation.
Yes, of course.
Okay, sir. That means we are ready to go. You just
Yes,
have
of
10
course.
minutes, sir. You have 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Do I start?
You can start. You can start, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon,
Good afternoon, sir.
everyone. At the time, by Yusuf Salisu and I, the presenter, yeah, Dallami Balar.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see the slides, right?
We can see the slides, sir.
Very good. So, introduction. This is a theory developed by Lyons in 90s. That there are no worlds with everything that is similar. Therefore, this is an issue for translators, since we have different cultural and linguistic background.
Okay.
We looked at the theory as a way out of translating, especially kinship terms, because they have some intricate nature. So the theory of comparison analysis of meaning could be used as an alternative, or rather as a means to resolve some issues that are likely to be faced by translators. I will now give an account, a brief account of about what comprehension analysis is all about. It is a theory, as I've said, that dissects, or rather translates or view lexical items according to their component features semantically, and assigned some signs that are considered as whether that lexical item, the concept in that lexical item has or doesn't have that feature. And this is represented by the signs of plus or minus. This issue is known as binary taxonomy, and it is used to differentiate between otherwise similar words when it comes to translation. I have taken time to demonstrate this theory practically on English and Hausa color terms. Color terms display some kind of peculiarity features, considering the fact that we may have some differences and issues across cultures, and advancement of the language or culture under consideration. Given the fact that English language is more advanced than Hausa language comparatively, so they may likely have more terms to describe a certain domain of color than Hausa. In doing so, when we use the translation of the text or near exact, because that is what the translation is all about, right? We have used a sort of model developed known as Munsell color terms that was used from 1920s to differentiate similarity between different colors of soil. Soil being naturally similar but with distinct features that are different from each other. So it is a model that is developed to come up with a clear distinction between, let's say, red soil and brown soil, or something that we can call brownish in the process. The slide I'm displaying now shows English color terms. Color terms in English are very rich, perhaps due to the fact that the language is advanced compared to Hausa. The color terms viewed in this presentation, that is red and blue, when viewed from English language, are richer than when viewed from Hausa. So red color domains in English, we have something like scarlet, maroon, crimson, garnet, and lots more. These are all in the domain of red. Whereas in Hausa, we have only 5 also color terms. We have black, white, red, green, and blue. So we are considering now the blue domain, the red domain, so that we can demonstrate how combinational analysis is used to give these differences. As I've said, the data was analyzed using 2 domains, that is red and blue. But for the sake of this presentation, I only used the red domain. I will say the other domain, that is the blue domain, is contained in the main article. But for the sake of this presentation, I just used one due to space and time they are constrained. So the descriptive analysis is followed to explain the justification for the translation and completeness or partiality of the translation made. Look at the table I'm displaying now. Ordinarily, I just displayed 5 different domains of the red color. Look at the first table where we have a translation of red color into Hausa. Like when we say red, it means Ja, scarlet means Jawa, maroon means Kunkumadi, orange is Ruangoro, and amber is Ruangoroshi. All these are within the red domain. Skip that of blue, please, because of time constraint. Let's go to the next slide, where I employed this implement to show how I arrived at the translation. In English, when you say red, sorry, from the parameters used by Munsen color terms, they have 3 parameters to measure colors. They have what you call the hue, which is the actual color. We have the chroma, we have the hue, chroma, and I think maybe if there is a mixture, That is the tinge or the mixture that may likely appear from the main color being translated. Like when we have the red color, we have plus red, we have minus yellow, we have minus green, we have minus blue, but it is plus light. And the chroma is plus medium, and it is deep, but there's no mixture of anything to display the tinge of another color inside it. But when we look at the last one, amber is plus red, minus yellow, minus green, minus blue, plus light, plus or minus medium. It would be plus or minus, that is darkness in it. There is a tinge of yellow-ish color within it. So this is the parameter, or rather, these are the criteria that are being followed to dissect the distinct features within a given color, so that an exact translation could be arrived at. Now, look at the next slide. That is the translation of this the colors I just mentioned in Hausa, considering this method of combinational analysis. Let me take the last one. That does not actually that translation of amber. Amber is translated in Hausa as garwashi. If you look at the features, the component features of amber, and compare it with this in garwashi, you will see that there are similarities and differences. So conclusively, if you look at the translation of this amber on the last table I'm displaying, you will see the justification for the translation arrived at, which is garwashi. The identity of colors are somehow not 100%. The translation here, the justification is partially, all the others are complete translation. That's the other 4 terms I translated earlier. So if you go to the next slide, you will see the submission this paper has finally come up with. I'm sorry I cannot read many of them because the view is a bit blurred. I gave. That is the employment of the use of commercial as a tool for translating lexical items. In this case, the red color, the partiality or completeness of the translation, considering the feature, the subset features of the word so translated. This will in the end give us a complete translation or a partial translation of the lexical item under consideration. Thank you very much for your attention and time, please. Hello? Hello?
Hello, we are coming.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Are you with me?
Hello, thank you, presenter.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Dr. thank you for your presentation. Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Dr. Danami. Dr. Danami. Dr. Danami. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me? Thank you very much. It's like, okay, if you are hearing me, if you can hear me, your analysis, your compositional analysis, I understand it to be something like a comparison between English color terms and Hausa color terms. Now, what is the objective of this work? Is it that the translation of these terms in written Hausa or spoken Hausa is deficient, and you want to improve on it, or have there been previous works on this type of study that you want to improve on or comment on? So what exactly are the objectives of this study? I hope you heard me.
We can't hear you, sir. Work on your network. We can't hear you, sir.
Hello, Dr. Danlami, we can't hear you. If you are hearing us, we cannot hear you. If there's something you can do about your network.
Hello? 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 Hello?
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon, senior colleagues. I know I connected you. No.
Hello.
Ko haka zan tafi da shi zan rike shi. They are trying to do that. Hello, good afternoon, ma. I am Muhammad Suleiman.
Are you ready to present your paper, please? Mohammed.
Yes, sir. I'm ready for presentation, sir.
You are ready for presentation.
Hello, sir.
So,
hello.
You'll be given 10 minutes to start your presentation.
I am presenting. Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
Okay, sir.
So you can start.
Yes, I am, sir.
You can start. You can go ahead with your presentation.
Okay. The topic of our paper is the efficacy of native Yeah, the efficacy of native language magnets on speech realization of Hausa hard of hearers. Yeah, it is actually very vital to distinguish between the first language and the second language, especially when one is learning a target language.
Hello.
Okay, the title once again is the efficacy. The efficacy of native language. The efficacy of native language magnets on speech realization of Hausa hard of hearers.
Okay, Hausa hard of hearers. Okay, go ahead.
Of Hausa hard of hearers.
All right, go ahead.
Is the topic taken?
Yes.
You can continue. You can continue. Where is the man? Hello, Mr. Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed. Go to the next person. Next, any other person ready?
Dr. Asiru is ready. Hello? Hello?
Please. Another person ready?
Can you hear me? Hello? 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 Hello?
I'm hearing you. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. Good afternoon.
My name is Dr. Asiru.
I'm ready.
I'm ready for the presentation. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, I'm hearing you.
I'm a co-presenter. I'm not from LAN.
Okay. Co-presenter.
I'm not from LAN. I don't know whether they
Dr. Asiru, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Hello?
Hello, I'm hearing you.
Dr. Asiru.
Hello? Mr. Chairman, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, I'm hearing you.
Yes, good afternoon,
colleagues. Pardon?
Yes, this is Musa Bello Wali. Hello.
I'm hearing
yes,
you.
My paper is on and yes,
you are
eco-critical study. I'm presenting on eco-critical study of sir. Yes, I'm the co-presenter. Hello. Hello. Hello, sir.
I'm also a presenter, my friend. Maybe it's Gilash.
No, okay, it should be. It should be. Hello.
Hello, I'm hearing you. My name is Dr. Asiru.
I want to present. Maybe they're not hearing us from their end. We are just
Yes, we're clashing here, I think.
Hello?
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 Is this the chairman of the panel? Is this the chairman of the panel?
No, this is not the chairman of the panel. I'm equally a co-presenter. No, I'm equally a presenter. I want to present my own paper too.
So,
hello?
It's a clash.
Please, can you read?
Okay, I think so.
I'm hearing you.
Hello, I can read you. Hello.
It's okay. Continue.
No. Moderator, may I suggest that we follow the list, because this method of somebody comes up and says, I want to present, it's like it's
But
creating
they have given me the chance.
So let us follow the list.
They have given me the chance already to present.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, can you?
But I wish to suggest that after this presenter, we go by the list to avoid confusion.
Exactly. Can I carry on?
Can you read me, please?
Pardon?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm hearing you.
Hello, can I?
Hello, I am hearing you clearly.
Okay. Can I carry on?
Are you a presenter?
I am. Hello? Hello?
Hello? Hello? Who is speaking, please?
This is Musa Bello Wali from Al-Kalam University. I'm equally a presenter. I want to present my own paper too. Hello? An shirya? To. Sai mu ya mota? Hello? You equally have a paper to present, right? I have a paper. It is ready. And did you submit it? You submitted your abstract?
But I think initially it was the chairman who spoke. Initially.
Hello?
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 It's as if we are hearing ourselves. Have
My
we been
dear,
disconnected from the...
Hello, please, Mr. Moderator. Where is Mr. Moderator, please? You should intervene, please, Mr. Moderator. You've been disconnected by the host. No, we are not disconnected.
Hello? Who is presenting? Oh, I want to present. Hello?
I am. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Can anyone read me?
Hello, I think the moderator has muted himself. Moderator should unmute himself and talk, please. Mr. Moderator, you have muted yourself, please.
Hello.
Both host and co-host have muted themselves.
Hello.
You should unmute yourself, please. Good.
Hello.
Hello, can you read me? Hello.
I hope online.
Change the platform.
Hello.
sake turo mana wani.